Hi, I'm Matthew Grota, and this is my analysis of small group communication. When it comes to the masculine versus feminine, there are noticeable differences. Men typically are rational thinkers in society. We often are expected to prove and be non-emotional, keep our emotions inside and not express them. We're defined by strength. Revealing emotions is a sign of weakness. So when a man is lacking in strength, he is, from society's perspective, lacking in his manhood. And when these two things are combined, in the context of small group communication, whether there's men or women involved, men will do things that are stupid to either display their strength or to create a sense of rationality within themselves to try and, be better or be stronger than other men around them. And this can be an abrasive tendency that men have to deal with. And on the other hand, women are typically more emotionally driven and are more aware of the thoughts and feelings that humans give off when we express ourselves. So in small group settings, women are much more in tune to the people around them, and men are more in tune with themselves. Piggybacking off the emotionally drivenness, the subtext and implications of what people say and do often paints a picture of what is next to come or reveals something deeper or more unseen within a person's self. And typically, women are much better at picking those things out, understanding why they're there, and being able to process that type of information. The problem can be is if they misinterpret something, they could very easily be thrown down the wrong path, and this could snowball into bigger issues later on down the line. In terms of gender, it's not a aspect of self that is defined by your biological sex. Gender is how you choose to express yourself in a societal context. And that has all to do with an individual's mindset, and individuals all have completely varying mindsets. So when, let's say, a male individual expresses himself as a more emotional, thriving on subtext and small little emotional nuances, that could be considered more of a feminine gender of expression. And when that sort of expression contradicts with an individual's perceptions of what that specific sex is quote unquote supposed to do, can create confusion and hostile behavior if it's not addressed or understood. In terms of ethnicity, this is what defines sameness in other people. It is the easiest, most most prominent form of identification, but can also lead to issues, i.e., racism. But when people are able to look at someone and see sameness instead of differences, that increases bonds and allows for more constructive, developing personal growth type of situations to occur. In terms of culture, it is, logically speaking, a very weird part of being alive because it doesn't necessarily keep us from dying or advances society. It's more of a way of living, and ways of living differ among different people. And as a child, the culture that you are first brought into will define how you react to other cultures around you because they differ. Humans do things differently. And being aware of differences in culture is a big part of becoming an adult, growing up, and being someone who can work in small groups effectively. Initially, there's always going to be some type of I'm right, you're wrong type of behavior, but being able to transcend that is what creates productive group activities. There are two different types of groups, assigned and emergent, and it all has to do with the context. Assigned groups are like when a professor divides a class into small groups based on whatever they want. Ideally, it's individuals' ability and proficiency in certain areas that the natural flow might ignore because students might want to work with their friends and be in more comfortable situations than to be working with strangers who are better at covering their weaknesses and where their strengths can cover the weaknesses of their other group members. But the members inside the groups have little control over who they end up working with, which can create some tension and some anxiety, which can impede a group's ability uh, to work effectively. Emergent groups, on the other hand, they're established by nature. Individuals choose which group they would like to be in and choose whether they would like to stay or leave based on the situation at hand. And this is like when you first go to college and you're living in the freshman dorms and you become friends with the people that are on your floor. You start hanging out with them, you find the ones you like because the context is that these people are near you, which means you're exposed to them more, and you can choose whether or not you want to stay with that group of people or leave and go meet new people. Two examples of observable diversity that interested me are background diversity, being that an individual who has been born and raised in Florida has a completely different perception of reality than someone who was born in Minnesota. Now, these might be subtle things like snow, cold, temperature, society, what's expected of them, the way that their individual families operate in the society in that state or in that place of origin. And when those two types of people come together, they can what will happen is it will create a stronger, more well-rounded group perspective on whatever task is at hand. Another one very close to me would be intelligence diversity. Intelligence is a pretty finicky concept, but everybody has it, and they have it in certain areas, and the key is to find individuals who cover the where your intelligence is lacking and where your intelligence can cover a specific aspect of whatever it is you're trying to accomplish with this small group. Relate to this, I had when I was at Drake University, I was in a business class. We had a semester-long assignment called the Link assignment. We had to essentially advertise and create a presentation for this business that was actually trying to install or create a new apartment complex, and they were essentially using us as kind of dummy people to see what we thought about it, what our inputs would be for them. And this was an assigned group. I had no say over the structure of it, and there was a designated leader. And the leader that we had was offensive lineman on the football team. So I knew he was not very bright, and I was hoping that he could trust my instincts and my inputs, but he would feel stupid and then reject my input and claim that, oh, what he put down was already fine. It doesn't matter. We don't need to change it, which created a lot of frustration because the project did not end up as good as I hoped it would. It created a hostile environment. Ideas were not able to flow freely, and it was just a nightmare to complete. So being aware of your own biases and exposures to culture, society, and life are very important to you, and they should be important to other people, especially when you're involved in a small group, because acknowledging and accepting each other's flaws and virtues is how small groups are able to accomplish goals.